What's the most useless thing they teach in school?
They mostly taught us to ask permission in order to use the bathroom.
40 years I've been asking permission to piss. I can't squeeze a drop without say-so.
In order to graduate middle school, you were required to complete the Cupid Shuffle, Cotton-Eyed Joe, and Electric Slide in front of your class. I guess this taught us the concept of pure embarrassment.
Like, just by yourself you had to get up in front of the class and dance?
We all learned as a class, but for the final test we had to dance all alone on the gym floor while your whole class watched you dance to Cotton-Eyed Joe being quietly played from a CD player.
The entire life of my school founder. The worst of all is that they teach us the same thing all the years.
Why would anyone need that? I presume it's a vanity thing the founder installed at some point.
The tongue taste map. Not only useless, but incorrect.
Oh poo, I totally forgot about this. I remember having to fill out a diagram of a tongue with the tastes on different parts of it.
Completely opposite. When I was in high school we had driver's ed, gun training, basic car maintenance, home economics. A class when we learned how to do taxes. Edit, also sex ed.
Where and when did you go to school?
I graduated in 1991 for context, and, while living in Phoenix, they taught us square dancing in gym class. I must say though that the most useful skill that I was taught at that school that I use every single day is typing.
Square dancing has been taught in schools for many decades, all thanks to the industrialist Henry Ford. He pushed for it hard and won. He didn't like the new dances people were doing, and wanted this American tradition preserved.
Well, I'm old, so take my answer in context. How to use an abacus.
When I was younger I learned the abacus enough in Asian math school that I was able to do abacus calculations using muscle memory. So essentially an invisible abacus, which allowed me to do double-digit multiplication in my head pretty easily. So pretty helpful if you can do that, lol.
I was taught that Columbus knew that the world was round, but everyone else thought it was flat. So, yeah, that.
By college I was calling American history the, but actually, class. I had it in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then in college. Every time I took it, the teacher basically said, I know that you were taught, blank, in, whatever grade, asterisk, but actually asterisk what happened was. Example, asterisk elementary school, Lewis and Clark were super brave and the lessons made it seem like it was just the two of them venturing into the unknown west. Asterisk middle school, Sachahawea was there, too. Asterisk high school, actually there were like 30 people on that expedition.
The way the US public school system teaches it, Spanish. You learn it maybe half a year then forget it over the summer. You'd think with years of education we'd be better Spanish speakers, but it's essentially useless the way it's taught.
I took 2 years in school and barely learned anything. I can still pick up a word here and there, but that's it.
I feel like almost everything has some value. But I really wished that they taught high school classes on operating systems, Excel, and an introduction to programming and logic. I learned it all in college, but Excel saved me a ton of time on homework. Programming played a much greater role than I could have imagined, and high school left me unprepared for that.
They taught competitive cup stacking in my elementary school. Still have no idea why. Edit, this was in central Canada, but clearly it was widespread across a lot of North America. Please stop asking me if I went to your school, I probably didn't.
For like 3 months at my middle school your entire self-worth was determined by how fast you could stack cups. Also, only now do I realize that the whole cup stacking thing was just an elaborate marketing scheme to sell us cups with holes in them.
According to my son, apparently asterisk everything asterisk.
All of me.
Not useless, just poorly taught. History. It was just a collection of dates, names, and numbers. Memorize this stuff, we'll have a test. The significance of so many historical events was never taught or discussed. WW2 was the only one that was somewhat approached at scale, but even then it boiled down to Germany was pissed off about WW1 and Hitler hated the Jews. This was at a good high school too. The whole class was in advanced classes, IB, AP.
That you have to ignore bullies and/or forgive them. In real outside world, if you bully someone you will 1. Get slapped across the face. 2. Get kicked in your butt. 3. fired from work. Or 4. Shunned and made fun of. Ps. My friend's nephew got bullied at school. The bully was poking him with his fingers so hard that the next day the nephew had like 20 small bruises all over his back. The teacher just told him to ignore him and made the bully apologize. Now I dare you to go to work tomorrow and start poking people, and I see how far you go.
If someone beats you up in high school, it's bullying, and boys will be boys. The moment you turn 18, suddenly it's called assault and they can go to jail for that. I had the pleasure of yelling that at my principal in 10th grade. Basically calling her out that as a teenager they wouldn't do anything about it, but the moment my bully turned 18 I could have his ass arrested. Suddenly she took the bullying situation differently now that I threatened to bring the cops in.
In my experience, the way Jim and Pear were taught were pretty useless because they never taught us how to train or improve our athletic abilities. It was just weeks of half-heartedly playing basketball with minimal adult supervision, and then one day we had to run a mile and the coaches would go out of their way to humiliate anyone who couldn't just get up and run a mile under 10 minutes with no training or preparation. It put me off running and exercise in general for a long time. Edit ***. I'm seeing so many stories here of people who experienced bullying, shame and humiliation in their peer classes in school. I'm so sorry that that happened to all of you. None of us deserved that. I really hope that you all have found exercises that you enjoy. It doesn't have to just be running or weight training. Go on some beautiful hikes, buy a ring fit, take a pole dancing class, whatever makes you feel strong and happy. You deserve it.
And I hate to say it, many of the PE teachers and coaches were pretty unhealthy themselves.
Sex and de-education. The entire lesson plan is, just don't do it. Effing bullpoo.
This is going to sound stupid, but history the way it's taught is basically meaningless. A long category of dates and events without context or real discussion. The vast majority of history is trivia, because the real story is the cyclical nature of events, the rise and fall of empires, the periods of enlightenment and advance, and the reactionary times that bookend them. You learn that there used to be this thing called yellow journalism, but you don't learn that what kicked it off was the sudden availability and popularity of newspapers, and nobody draws the extremely obvious parallel to our modern blog-driven media. If I told you that in the mid to late 1800s, when newsprint was blowing up, that it was extremely common for papers to blatantly copy each other's stories with added editorial bias tailored to their viewers, sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Drawing parallels between the robber barons of the late 1800s and the current ones. Drawing parallels between the labor movements of that era, and the ones that are growing again today. Who's relevant and important to realize in context. But no, just memorize some effing dates and names, so you'll have some poo to spout at trivia night later.
Yeah, the funny thing is I hated history when I was in school, and love it now that I'm not. Turns out teaching history as rote memorization of dates is a bullpoo way to teach it. I don't know how I'd do it better. But the way schools teach history is just bad. Edit, like even just some pretext to the subjects would be nice. Like, hey, did you ever wonder why Mexico isn't a part of the United States? Instead, at least in my school, it was, okay, now turn to page 388 and we're gonna read about the War of 1812 or some poo, IDK. Write 20 pages about it.
I can say with decent confidence that I don't think anything I learned was really useless. There's stuff I haven't used, but I don't regret learning it.
You know, I like your take. Learning stuff is cool.
You won't have a calculator in your pocket in the real world. Edit, yes, I know how to do math. I'm an engineer and I like math theory. I promise I'm not a brain-dead mobile addict.
Yeah, no, as pissed off as it made me in class, I am a bit grateful to be able to do math without a calculator. Then again, I suck at math. Sue. That hiding under your desk will keep you safe from bombs and tornadoes. Yes, I know what it's actually for. It's just always been a silly visual.
That wasn't the lesson you could have learned. The real lesson was that people tend to panic, and panicking causes unpredictable and dangerous behavior. When you drill an action that makes a population feel like they have self-control over a situation, they will tend to follow that. Same as with patients and a disease, so often there is conflict between clinician and patient because the clinician will see it as the patient not being able to do anything, medically proven at least, whereas the patient is looking for some agency, some self-control over a situation, even if that is drinking carrot juice or whatever. This helps explain the multitude of holistic medicines and why they are popular, because there is always something you can do, or feel like there is, to have agency in a difficult situation. As others have said, the lesson wasn't always literally the subject matter, what was being taught.
That classical literature is the end-all be-all of reading. I get some books have cultural significance, but that doesn't warrant a 6-week in-depth analysis of a book kids can't relate to, with most being about challenges they will never face, culminating in an essay that's basically, I understood it, repeated over and over backed up by quotes. If you want your kids to never touch a book in their lives ever again, that is how you do it.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.